Hey guys, it's Brianna back again with another embroidery video. This time we are talking about multi-position embroidery hoops. I just want to rip off the band-aid and say this is not a free process. In order to use a multi-position hoop, you're going to need some software. I have Embroidery Essentials, which cost $139. That is the sale price. If it's not on sale when you're seeing this, it does frequently go on sale, so just wait a couple days and it'll probably go back on sale. You'll also need to purchase a repositional hoop. This is the exact one I have. Make sure it works for your machine. So right in the description it says it works for mine, the PE550d machine. It's also a set of 3 and right now it's on sale for $23. It comes with the original hoop for my machine, the 4x4, the repositional hoop, and then a smaller hoop which you could use for like sleeve details. Together, you're looking at $139 plus $22.99, so $161.99 before tax to be able to use a multi-position hoop, which is expensive, but on the other hand, it's a lot cheaper than buying a new machine just for a bigger embroidery field. Here is what Embrilliance Essentials looks like. The process is similar to my first tutorial, which was the free version of multi-hooping, picking my font, moving my letters closer together. And then where it becomes different is you're going to press this little yellow folder. Now there is a button for multi-position, so go ahead and click on that. And then you'll have a few options. I'm using the large hoop, which has 2 positions. You can use 3 positions, a larger hoop, and various things. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so that it's facing the same way as my word. Select apply and click OK, and now minimize it by pressing the minus section. This will be the first position and this will be the second position. When saving the file, you'll have 2 options. You can either save it as a working file if you want to reopen it in Embrilliance and alter it, or you can save it as a stitch file. I'm saving it as a stitch file since this is just a name. I'm not going to be reusing it for another design. It's automatically going to pop up saying splitdesign.pes. I like to put the name of whatever it is, so Margaret Split Design PES. And then when you minimize Embrilliance, I saved it to my desktop, so you'll see all of the files there from this one save. So it's going to say Margaret Split Design number 1, and then Margaret Split Design number 2. You'll also have this design txt file, but you don't need to move that over. You just need the number 1 and number 2 files put onto a geek stick to place into your machine. Here's how the Embroiderex 3 hoop set comes. So I'm just unboxing this to take out my multi-position hoop. For this tutorial, I'm using a piece of cutaway stabilizer by New Bro Thread and a piece of white felt, which is just a scrap piece that I had laying around my craft closet, which is why there's a hole in the side, but it shouldn't affect our work in any way. Over on the machine, just turning it on. Selecting the screen, take out your geek stick and place it into the port, and press the bottom right toggle, and that's going to be all your files on your geek stick. And I'm just going to select the one with this little box around it because those are our 2 files. And your multi-position hoop will have 4 notches. You're going to put it on the top 2 notches to start. Before we get started with the embroidery portion, let me just tell you a cautionary tale. So with multi-position hooping, you cannot move it up and down. You can move it side to side, that's fine, but moving it up and down will result in an issue. I like to utilize the entire surface of my work area, especially when I'm doing examples like this, so I can use the other materials for another project. But this time it did not work out in my favor because I moved it all the way down, which resulted in the second part not being able to line up with the first because it was too far down in the field. And before you say, oh, well, then you shouldn't have gone up 2 notches, you should have just gone up 1 notch. I tried that as well, it did not work. So just remember, vertical, bad, horizontal, good. You might be wondering why it has this box or rectangle around the embroidery, and that is strictly to see each part line up. So when you go to the second part, if the rectangles are not close or touching, it's not going to embroider out correctly, which is how I knew in this instance that I had made a mistake. Later on, when you become more experienced with repositioning hoops, you can skip ahead and go ahead stitches so you don't do this rectangle, but it is just a basting stitch around, so it's really easy to seam rip it out. But I understand if you're doing embroidery on a delicate fabric and you don't want the holes from the needle, you might want to skip it, and that's completely doable. Back at the beginning again with the file. This is the first part, so I'm going to move it over to the right hand side all the way, just so that it's not overlapping that much with the first one. It can overlap a little bit because this isn't actually going on anything, it's just for a sample. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. I'm going to move it all the way to the right. Cut off the jump stitches like normal, all the connectors. Here's how both of them look lined up. The first one is the one that I did with the rehooping method, and the bottom one is the repositioning hoop. With the seam ripper, I'm going back and taking out the basting stitch, this little square around the edges. It is really easy to take off. I will say that it's not super simple with the felt. As you can see, the fibers are getting stuck and pulling with it. If you're doing this on a regular embroidery project, you won't have this problem because the fibers won't be lifting like felt. You can go in between your stabilizer and your top material and rip it out there or go on the back, whatever you fancy. Here are the final results. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave them down below in the comments. I do get back to them and try my best to help y'all out. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye!